Welcome to Roots and Resilience. I'm Dr. Tejal.
And I'm Dr. Nehal. We have had some incredible conversations with inspiring individuals that we feel compelled to share with you all.
Listen with an open mind and an open heart. You never know, you might just pick up a pearl that might spark something in you.
Enjoy.
Welcome to today's episode of Roots and Resilience. We are delighted to welcome Dr. Tina Ferguson. She is a dentist, a mom, and a wife, and used to own and run a dental practice with her husband, which she took over after working there as an associate. She's since sold the business, gone back to being an associate in the same practice, and she is now building a property investment company while also supporting her daughter as she works towards becoming a professional tennis player. Today's conversation is going to be a little bit unconventional, and I can't wait for it. So, without further ado, welcome, Tina.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Amazing. So let's start at the beginning when tell us a little bit about what it was like for you growing up, who was in your family, where did you go to school?
Okay, so I was born in Birmingham, in England. I was then actually brought up in Kenya. So I lived in Kenya until I was about 5 years old. My mum was finishing her law degree. Basically, she qualified in India and then she'd moved here. My dad was already here as an accountant. And so my grandma basically said, look, finish what you're doing, don't give it up, and let her live with us in Kenya. So I spent the first 5 years in Kenya. Parents would come back and forth, obviously, but that is my childhood. I was brought up there. I went to
Do you have
nursery.
memories of that time
Oh,
when
I
you
do. I have
Oh,
lots of memories. Yeah,
Wow. What kind of
very,
things do
very
you
fond.
remember?
I was very spoiled. I was given everything I wanted because I was the first grandchild with my grandparents. My aunts, uncles all lived all together in the same house. I remember going to nursery and hating it, never wanting to go. So my grandparents would always say, "Don't worry, stay at home." I remember going on safaris, going to the beach there in Mombasa. Um, I do remember, funnily enough, coming over here when I was 5 years old and my dad picking us up at the airport and the car, he had just put tons of teddies in the car. Funnily enough, I remember that. Very strange, but I do. But yeah, I used to go back every summer to visit my grandparents because I was so close to them, so close. So um, went back there every summer for my summer holidays. And yeah, I went to an all-girls school in Birmingham. Again, my life is one where I do something, I stick to it for years, and then I move on. So I was there from the age of 5 and I went all the way through to A level. So I was there, uh, did my A levels in Birmingham, and then I was desperate to move to London.
Why?
So I don't know. Well, my aunt and uncle who I grew up with in Kenya lived in London. So again, if I wasn't in Kenya, I was spending time with them. My parents have got lots of friends and family that were in London, so we used to visit, at the weekends. And I suppose it was just different. Birmingham wasn't really a happening place at that time. As soon as I left, it started developing. But yeah, I came to London, went to Guy's. Um,
What prompted your decision to pursue dentistry?
Okay, so I was science orientated. I love languages. I Art, history, geography wasn't really my appeal. And then, like many, I suppose, had loads of orthodontic treatment growing up. I really didn't want to do medicine. I looked into law, but again, it wasn't my thing. So I looked at dentistry and I thought, especially after all the ortho work I had, thinking, you know what, I think I like this. So also the push of parents, go and do a decent degree, medicine, dentistry, law. My dad was an accountant, so I didn't really want to do that. Maths wasn't my thing. So it was a bit of guidance from my parents, and as traditional Indian families, we kind of get drawn to that, which is not a bad thing.
Stability was a big thing back then, wasn't there? To be a
For
professional
sure,
and
you
a
go and get a degree,
stable job. Mm.
good job. It will, be there. You can have children. You can go back to it. So yeah, that was one of my things.
Are you
And
happy you chose it?
no, Uh, yes and no. Yes, because I am where I am. I actually love treating my patients now, dentistry. I actually like it, but I think I may have done things differently if times were different. Times now are so different to then. So we didn't
Yeah.
have that information, that education. I actually played tennis and I wanted to be a tennis player. Um, so that's where I kind of wanted to be. But I didn't have the knowledge. My parents didn't have the knowledge like we do now. So it's no one's fault. It was just where we're at, you know. The done thing was to get your GCSEs, A levels, and go to uni. So I
Did
did
you
have,
carry on playing tennis beyond
well,
school?
I played tennis all the way until A levels.
Hmm.
I, there was a possible chance for me to go to Spain, maybe Florida. My parents kind of dabbled in it a little bit, but you know, thought process was it is very expensive. It is really, it's now as well. Injury, short-lived, all that kind of stuff. So um, I think what happened is I went to uni and obviously uni life was very different. And I just stopped playing at uni because I thought, well, I'm not going to be able to do it as a career. So I'm not going to do this anymore. Again, I look back on it and now I think, well, you're so silly. You should have, you could have played for the guys' team. And I think my thought process kind of changed, but I picked it up again
Hmm.
after I left.
Hmm.
Not competitive, played for the clubs. I play with Ria now. So,
Ria's
yeah,
your
still
daughter.
really enjoy it. Yeah, Ria's my daughter.
So
Do
we
Sorry.
you have
know
any
where your
siblings?
daughter gets her tennis game.
Um,
Hopefully, me, yeah.
we can't wait to speak more on that in a second. But did you have any siblings, Tina?
Yes, my sister, Sangi, she is 5 years younger than me.
Hmm.
Again, grew up in Birmingham, went to school there. She also played tennis actually. She then went on to do physio and she came to King's.
Wow.
Um, so she's
Did you
had,
ever play doubles, like sisters doubles?
no, she was 5 years younger than me. So it was like,
Ah,
funny thing is, what we do remember is when I was playing finals, club finals, I think it was a really important match or something. All she wanted to do was become a ball girl. So she was a ball girl for my match. And then she used to love sweeping the lines on the court when we played on the clay courts. So we all remember that and we do laugh about it. So yeah, I still remember.
that's
So
so cute.
yeah, it was.
I've always
And
secretly wanted to be a ball girl at Wimbledon. I remember seeing it, like, how do I do that? Like, how do I?
yeah,
And I think you have to go to certain schools in that
yeah,
sort of
they
area
choose the
to,
schools in the area and
yeah. So
it's quite
that never
intense.
happened.
Yeah,
But
very intense actually.
so, how was
So
dental school for you?
I had a lot of fun. Had a lot of fun. And again, I was at Guy's. Then Guy's and Kings were not merged. It was
Hmm.
just UMDS.
Hmm.
So we had a lot of medics and dentists, and it was just us. 5 years of a lot of fun. We were out in London, and it was hard. I was still very much into, well, you want to get your exams, you want to pass, you want to do well. So yeah, I would try and study as much as I can, as well as having fun. So it was good. I enjoyed it. I'm glad I did what I did. I always look back on how it would be, and when people come for advice, I kind of do advise that now there are other places. A campus life is really quite nice. We didn't really have that because we were just medics and dentists. And when I visited other friends in Cardiff or Sheffield or wherever it was very different. But
Hmm.
don't regret it at all. I was very happy that I was at Guy's and proud to say it was Guy's.
And how did were you always this confident and extroverted?
No, absolutely no way. And I still don't think I am. I still don't think.
Interesting.
I think
Interesting.
our life has become that way and it's normal to us. But other people have said that to me. And recently, someone else said that, "But Tina, your personality is like that." And I'm thinking, I feel like I'm quite quiet and not really an extrovert, but I suppose we are. I suppose our life has become that way. Um, I can blame Chris, my husband, from the day I met him, maybe.
How did you guys meet?
Well, talking about dentistry, we were in our final year and we get to do elective. So we were away for 6 to 8 weeks, I think. We traveled a bit, me and two friends. and we ended up in Fiji actually. So
Wow.
yeah, a friend of ours the year before had done the same trip, so we thought that's it, we're going to do it. Ended up in Fiji, and in fact, back then we didn't even book any accommodation. We were no phones, no emails. Our parents just let us go, and it was like the norm. So we turned up at the airport and we went to the travel agent there and said, right, 3 students, we're here to work at the dental school. We need a hotel which is close, uh, air conditioned if you can. Swimming pool would be nice, but we're not being fussy, anything cheap. So we ended up at a place called the Suva Motor Inn. And when we got there, it was really quiet, really nice little hotel. Um, and at dinner, we were told there was a huge team of rugby players staying there, visiting from America. So, okay. And we got on with it, got ready to go out to the dental school the next day. And then there all these people arrived. They weren't rugby players, we thought they were, but the reason I say that is Chris was in the military, and at that point, um, he was actually a Navy SEAL. So it was all very undercover, and they were there on work, and so they couldn't really say who they were. So
Wow.
again, a very far-fetched story. So met him
Yeah,
there.
your life is like a movie.
We met there, and then we kind of stayed in touch, and then I went over to visit him that Christmas, New Year's, I think, and he was based in San Diego then. So he'd been in the Navy, oh God, about 8, 9 years, and then he was a SEAL for another 7 years. Um, Obviously, very not the right thing to do according to like the Indian tradition and everything. But funnily enough, my mum was actually quite for it, quite happy. And my dad got on board, I think, a little bit at then. And then, yeah, I went to visit him, and I think they just saw that we were happy. And it was hard. They didn't really want it to happen or agree with it at that time. And we had a long distance relationship. He'd come and visit me, I'd go visit him. And this happened for about 2 years. And then
Wow.
eventually, time was coming where I was did my VT training at this one practice where I am now. Um, and they were coming up to retirement, and we knew the next thing to do is to buy the practice. So, and Chris at that point was about to leave the Navy. I was actually going to do my American, in fact, I did. I started doing my American exams to go to California. Probably one of the hardest things I've done. I did part one and part two. And then it was part three and four, but they all a year apart back then. So it was like 4 years. And then they asked me to go back to uni for 2 years over there. So it was just too much. I wasn't doing it. Very different. Even though I love it out there. So we decided he'd move here. So he moved here. And then we got married in 2003. And the actually, it was a few years later, the practice came up for sale. Um,
Wow. So this is actually really rare, Tina. You actually did your VT at the same practice that you bought and now you're currently working at again.
yeah,
Wow. That's amazing.
I love that because when I was a 15-year-old dabbling in the prospect of possibly pursuing dentistry and seeking out work experience, every
mm,
single practice that I ended up doing work experience at, they had been there for, or the principal had been there for like 15, 20 years. Like, that was just so normal to be,
yeah,
you pick a practice, you end up working there, whether you're, and maybe you go on to own it. And that was my perception of what dentistry is,
yeah,
and in fact, even though I didn't have the intention initially to stay in practice, but I am in practice now. I'm at both Nell and I are at our VT practice. FD practice is
yeah.
the new VT
Same. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
terminology. So yeah, we both ended up going back to work there, and it's great. But in a way, I'm just reflecting and thinking, well, actually, I just thought that was so normal, but it's very rare now to speak to people who've stayed on their practice
Yeah.
10 years plus, 10, 15, 20 years plus. It's really not that common anymore. And so
I
was
think,
that your plan, was to stay in practice and go on to practice ownership? Was that something you envisioned when you were like qualifying as a dentist, or was that very organic?
I think it was just the done thing. Um, Parents, family, most of my dad's side of the family are doctors, um, accountants. So it was all about you get your degree, now you're a dentist. Okay. You've got married. Perfect. You're going to have a baby. Yes. Oh, the practice is coming up for sale. You have to buy it now. So it was always, it wasn't something that I deep down, this is me, this is what I want to do, this is what's I'm happening. It was just something that I was to do. And I never questioned it. We
Hmm.
never questioned
Was
it.
there. The opportunity came and you were just kind of expected to take it.
Yeah, I think. And I think my dad was guiding me. He was an accountant, and it was the thing that, okay, the opportunity is here. You've been here for so long, you know the patients, and we took it over. Again, we reflect what we talking about property in a minute. Chris and I did a lot of that prior to buying the practice. And to be honest with you, now, even though we're really happy we figured the business out, we've run it, we had it for about 12 years, we've learned all of it. Hindsight, we wish we had just carried on doing our property and me being an associate and just staying on, or going to a different practice to be an associate and seeing what else is out there. But you can't look into the past. We're
Mm.
very grateful for what we've done. We're happy. It's always, the grass isn't always greener. So, and that was our path at that time. So we took the opportunity, and we were pretty clueless. We didn't really have a clue
So
what
how
we
did you
were doing.
navigate that then? If you were clueless, because that's a massive project to undertake, right? Becoming a practice owner.
Honestly, I became an associate. The thing is, my boss and his wife, they were both there. She was actually my tutor at Guy's, periodontal tutor at Guy's.
Wow.
Um, I kind of picked a few things up along the way, but really deep down, we were thrown into the deep end, like the compressor. Oh, you need a contract for the compressor. And I learned all this as you do the due diligence in taking over. Oh, the compressor. Okay, you got to look after that. And oh, goodness, there's the suction pump. Like, what does that mean? I'd never really proactively taken any attention to any of that, but
Which
I
you don't, by the way, as an associate, right? You don't, you're not aware of all these things.
no,
So
exactly.
it's in
And
fact not normal to know these things. Yeah.
no, and also I think the other thing then is my dad was kind of looking after the accounts. He kind of he dealt with it. I almost felt like I wasn't allowed to deal with it. And I almost feel now that everything was done for me, so I didn't really know, which again, two ways I'm very grateful for, but looking back on it, I feel like I would do things very differently.
Hmm.
Like setting up the way we did, what we took on, how we took on, would I have taken it on? Um, but we made a success of it. We grew it. I mean, the staff that I did VT with, um, when I left, so my boss and his wife owned two practices. When I left one of them to move to where I owned permanently, some of the girls left. When I took it over a few years later, they came back and joined me, the nurses, and they're still there. So I've known some of them for 20, yes, 25 years this year.
How
And we're
wonderful.
still working together. So I think that's what has kept us all going. Colleague Babin, he's been there since I took over, even prior to that slightly. So it's a really good place. We're all good friends. We get on, um, and that's why I wanted to stay on as well, because it's actually easy for me now. I know
Mm.
my patients. Saw someone today, and I said, I've had a couple of patients your age. I saw you all as children, 5-year-olds or whatever, and now you're having your own children. So
What I feel like family dentistry is all about, and I think that is something that genuinely,
very rare
when I
now.
look back, I think that's something I really connected with as a young, naive, um,
Yeah.
schoolgirl.
Working through the
That I was
student.
like, I really like that whole relationship building, relationship nurturing aspect of this profession. I can really
Yeah.
see myself doing that. I just connected with that, and that's what I absolutely love about dentistry, and the fact that you can look after generations of a family, and it's such a privilege.
Oh yeah.
When you bought the
Yeah.
business, was it almost a given that you and your husband will manage it together, or how did that work out, or how did you
Yes.
make that decision, and how was it running a business with your partner?
So we do work really well together. I was doing the clinical side of it. I took care of a lot of the managing the clinical side, which he wouldn't know, but he took care of website, he took care of marketing, he took care of accounting, all that side of it. So it was separate, but all part of one package. And he worked from home. He wouldn't really necessarily come into the practice because I did have uh, so first of all, we had a receptionist that managed the whole place for my old boss and his wife. So she knew a lot about everything, helped me with it. When she retired, I had another nurse who then I trained up and she helped to manage, who I'm good friends with now. So it was more of teamwork, but I think what I had difficulty with, which and I think I always have a problem with this, is Chris always used to say to me, to make this work, we need to expand. To if you want to do bigger and better things within this, you need to expand. I had always said to myself, for some reason, I wouldn't want to do dentistry for the rest of my life. And maybe that's because it's something that was, this is what you have to do. It's not I really may have wanted to do. So I always said that. But he said you need to expand, maybe buy more practices, maybe have a practice manager running this practice and that practice and that practice. But I know personality wise, I am not that way. Maybe call me a control freak, I don't know. But um, I want to know that my patients are happy. I know it's running well. I want to know. So it's not the best when you're my personality to own a lot of practices. And I know that's how the dental business is now working. And that's just not me.
Hmm.
So
Mm. But it's
um
good you recognize that. It's
yeah.
good you
Yeah,
recognize,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
this is me, this is Tina, this is what works for me, this is how I'll do it. And actually, that's amazing. Even having one practice is incredible and building it and
Yeah.
growing it. It doesn't necessarily, need to be a string of practices. Like that's hard enough in itself.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And how did you find after you sold the practice,
Yeah.
to then stay on as an associate when you don't no longer have that autonomy? Because that's quite interesting too.
Well, I know I still needed to work. It's not like we sold the practice and we could retire on that practice, and by means, absolutely no means. I still wanted to work. Um, and I'd been there for so long, so I knew whoever took over, I would want to say to them, look, I'm going to be an associate here. And I knew it was going to be very hard. Chris would always say to me, it's going to be hard for you because you're going to see how it changes, whether it's good or bad. Um, and it did take me a good couple of years, I think, to completely let go.
Hmm.
Um, but it's something now I look at and I think, do you know what? This is actually so easy. It's really easy. I know all my patients. My patients know me. I go in, I do my work. I still enjoy it enough to want to carry on. And I can come home, and
Mm.
not have to worry about the stress of it. Another thing that really made me look and think, you know what, this is a good thing, is we went through COVID with the practice, and now someone asked me about it today. How did you get through it? And I'm like, I actually don't know. I actually don't know how we managed the whole thing with COVID. And that's what, really pushed me. I'm so glad now. Regulations, changes, this, that, and the other, and it's always happening. And I think it's very difficult now. I could be wrong, for a one-man band to run a whole practice. I
Hmm.
think it is hard.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So
it is. I mean, from a resources perspective, right? Like the
yeah,
corporates just have a lot more,
yeah,
manpower and everything.
yeah.
But that is it's actually an achievement, and you should be really proud of yourself actually being able to let go, because letting go is really hard. It was like your baby.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know it was hard. But I suppose I kind of have become part of the furniture now anyway,
When
haven't I?
when did you know the time was right to let go or to move on and sell the business? How did you know?
I think it's just evolved into it. Ria, my daughter's growing up. We
Hmm.
knew we'd be traveling with her a lot more with tennis. Tennis is very expensive, so we needed to make sure that we've got finance for that, basically. Being at work, I'd be there, had to be there. Of course, we had holidays, but it was one of those things that was just grinding on us for a little while. It was, yeah, I was finding it hard doing, managing, owning, running, being
Hmm.
here, helping her. Luckily, Chris was from home, could run around with her, but I wanted to have time with her as well. So um, I think we kind of had been there and done it. And I think I knew at the back of my mind, I'm not doing this forever. And it
Mm.
was also, if I was going to dedicate my whole life to it, which a lot of dentists do, they stay on until they retire. And, um, I was going to have to do a lot more work to the practice, like, refurbishments and put a lot of energy into it. It was time for that to happen. And I
Mm.
thought, you know what, this is good timing now. COVID had happened. Well, it was meant to happen before COVID, but fair enough, COVID happened. It delayed a little bit. So it was good timing. We knew when it was right to do it.
And how did you find, just alluding to a question earlier, how did you find actually being in business with a family member, in this case, your partner?
Really helpful. Don't get me wrong, it was not roses all the time, but we'd have arguments here and there about it. But he understood everything about it. If I was getting stressed or didn't happen, that didn't happen, Chris would understand it. Or I could just call on Chris, this has happened, can you come and fix it? Or Chris, this ad needs to go out, can we do marketing on this? And we worked really well together. We really did.
I don't know,
So
it sounds like you had very complementary
Hmm.
skills, skill sets and potentially interests and stuff, so you could really kind of cover the entire package between you guys. So amazing.
I
Well
think we
done.
want the same thing, really, the end goal.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
aligned.
So
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So
So,
I really want to talk to you about your unconventional decision to homeschool your daughter Ria.
yes,
So I presume there might be the element of being able to pursue tennis that came into it,
yes,
but
yeah,
what? So she was in a mainstream school,
yeah.
and then at what stage did you ch switch to homeschooling, and what led to that?
So, just to begin with, for example, Chris, he's came from California. He's always not been very academic, and I was very academic, and that was a bit of a difference between us. But he came here, and he's like, do you know what? We need to make sure that Ria goes to a good school, and where we live, there are, really good schools everywhere, private schools, state schools. And he's like, it will be good opportunity for her to network, to meet people as she gets older, and I was on the same wavelength, as normally you're brought up in that way. So you think your child should be brought up that way. But you don't know what your child's going to become, but you presume, from when they're a baby, you've got to put their names down to schools. So that's where we were headed. So she went to a really good school here, primary school. And we thought it was great. She learned, well, it was a good foundation for her. And we knew she was happy child. She's a good girl, and she did what she was told to do. Not very academic, but you don't know as a 5, 6 year old. It's just. But she started playing tennis at the age of 3, and it was she was really good. Hand-eye coordination, just everything, physical, sports, everything she was good at. She also played for Arsenal at under fives, under 10, sorry. And so she was doing tennis and football together. Um, the time came where, funnily enough, at that age, we had to make a decision. Are you going to pursue the football or the tennis? And it was very young because from the age of 10 upwards, you have to start committing to these football matches, which she didn't really want to. So we dropped that. And so then tennis career started. She had lessons. My husband being, right, we've been told that she's pretty good. Let's research. Where's the best place to take her to really know? So we went to a place called Mouratoglou Tennis Academy in Paris. and she loved it. She really enjoyed it there. We carried on. And then there was a lady there when she was about, Ria was must have been about 7, 8, something like that. And she goes, you need to homeschool her. You need to start homeschooling her and bring her over to America. And there's these certain tournaments which she can play. That lady ended up being Coco Gauff's mum. So Coco, who is obviously a tennis player right now, and we knew she was there because Coco was training there as a 10-year-old. And Chris had already knew a lot more about homeschooling because in America it's a lot more a done thing. And he started on it, and I was like, do you know what? Let's do a bit of research on it. We researched it, and I think we were sold as soon as that lady, that Coco's mum said, homeschool her. It's really good for her to do. And then at that age, it was coming to 11 plus. 11 plus for us. And the way it's done these days and what it takes really didn't resonate with us. And it wouldn't have with
It's
Ria.
intense, isn't it?
It would have ruined Ria and ruined us, I think. So we didn't believe in any of that. And it came at that point where we spoke to the headmaster and we're like, she really needs a bit of time off school to do these lessons. And he wouldn't really have ever done that, but he was really good and he let her have a couple of times off in the week so she could train. She started at this academy, which when she was quite young, and the coaches really liked her. And then it was that time we made a decision. Do you know what? This schooling can be done online. It's amazing. So we found this school, which did everything online. So it's literally a school online, like we're doing a Zoom call. The teachers come on, and they teach the children. It's very interactive, homework, everything. So when we took her out of this private school that she was, we were looked at as like, what are you doing? You know, this is crazy. And lots of people would think this is unreal. But with my family, because it's Ria and because they've seen her grow and their grandchild, it was like, do anything for her, whatever it takes, you know. So they were all very much on board, and it was the best thing we did for her. So, and I still believe if she didn't have tennis, now we know what we know about schooling, we would still homeschool her.
That's
Interesting.
amazing.
So
So with these online schools, they've got their own syllabus, they teach everything, teachers of
everything.
different
Yeah.
subjects. Wow.
Yeah, so we get notified that there's homework to be done, what homework she has done, she's got to submit it, um, exams, everything. Everything was done online. We even had parent-teacher meeting online. So, and they
Wow.
knew about Ria the way she was. And the advantage of it also for us and for her is that she couldn't attend as she got older towards GCSE, she couldn't attend the live lessons. So they're all recorded and there's
Mm.
all slides and shows and everything, and she learnt best that way. She went through the recordings, she answered all the questions that way, she did all her homework that way, you upload everything. And so she didn't actually attend many live lessons in the last 3 years or so. She did her GCSEs last year, so yeah, so for her that was the right decision,
And
definitely.
and it just meant that when you were out and about,
Yeah.
doing tennis stuff, that the schooling could be fitted around it.
Yeah,
And
we traveled and she would uh do tournaments, play tennis. I mean, we even are able to go out, not in school holidays. We'd take her skiing, but she'd ski and then come back and do her school. Um, so in that respect, I think it's really fun. It's good for her. Like I said, I think we'd still do it even if she didn't have tennis because traveling would be one of those things that we would do. And you learn a lot from traveling, So
Absolutely. It's really
um,
educational, isn't it?
yeah.
So in terms of the tennis commitment side of things, how does it work? So talk us through a typical week or month, or, is it set tournaments every year? Is it really predictable
No.
directly, or
So
how?
for everyone is different. So we have looked at it very differently, the tennis. Like, we're different, we're extroverts. So we've taken a different route, different path, because her coaches have guided us to this. So the system in England is called the LTA, Lawn Tennis Association. So everyone becomes a member of it. And we kept Ria out of young tennis. She played the odd match here and there because it's a lot of chasing points. It's a lot of running around the country, playing all these tournaments, burning them out. And we didn't want that for Ria. And the coach is like, you don't need to do that. It's really ridiculous. She doesn't need to be number one in the country at under 14s, under 16s. It just doesn't need to happen because a lot of them, what happens is they burn out in the end. A lot of them aren't coming out of school. A lot of them are doing it because the next person's doing it, or fair enough if you want to go to uni, American uni for it. Yeah, fair enough. But so she trains all week, every day, Monday to Friday, um, pretty early. 3 hours of tennis a day, hour and a half in the morning, hour and a half in the evening, and then afternoon. And she has strength conditioning and fitness morning and afternoon. Um, but then tournaments is what tournaments you can get into. So the LTA tournaments, you work your way up. So as you get points, you get ranked, you can enter the higher tournaments. So she's doing the highest level tournaments now here, but she's had to work towards it. But at the same time, um, we haven't pushed her. We haven't run around everywhere trying to chase these points for her. We've just let her develop slowly. Which we believe is the best way to do it because tennis parents can be a bit crazy as well. Like parents push their kids, the kids are screaming at the parents are screaming at the kids. It's not nice to see. And this happens all over the world.
Mm.
Um, so you do that, and then there's the junior international circuit you can start. So she's done quite a few of those around Europe. Um, Botswana, we've got family in Botswana, so we did there. So she got really good ranking from that. But you have to carry on your ranking. You've got to carry on and play these tournaments as you get older, you get higher. So yeah, it's a bit of a game, but it's a long, long process. It's hard work. You've got, like Ria, she's very good mindset. I think she gets that from Chris. Um, Losing doesn't worry her. She learns from losing, and her coaches that are with her have really helped her become that way. And I think Chris has as well. So even now, she'll play these tournaments. She's got what it takes, but you'll have on days, good days, bad days. You'll lose. Well, you go and talk about it. And we're not pushing her. Like, why didn't you win that? You should have won that. When certain things you can tell her about, but it's a long process and we're in it for the long journey. It's not just a quick fix. So she trains every day, tournaments at the weekends. If there's a tournament in the week, there's one next week. So we're off to Weybridge next week. And it really depends how far you get, will determine whether you play the next day or not.
Mhm.
And I think I mentioned before, so to Tejal, that our life is very last minute. So we don't know, even if you're traveling abroad, whether she's going to get into that tournament. You only know 3, 4 days before. So you book your flights last minute, you book your hotel last minute. And coming home also, if she wins, you carry on. So you book your hotel for a certain amount of days, and then you buy a single return ticket on the way home if you're not staying long enough. So it's one of those last minute ways of life that we've got used to, I think. So,
You're
and
living in the moment.
yeah, that's what it is.
That's
Wow, I
amazing.
love
It's
that.
so admirable that the commitment it takes from Ria and from you guys to embrace this sort of way. It's a way of life that you've
It
chosen.
is, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lifestyle choice, not and
Not
it
everyone could do this.
and it affects
Mhm.
everybody. And I think it's really commendable as parents you've identified her strengths, her what she enjoys as well, and you've been supporting her with that journey. So and that was really wonderful for me to hear that because it's all well and good, to hear, oh yes, someone is pursuing sport professionally, but also just I think to give people an appreciation of what it actually takes.
Mm.
It's not necessarily an easier choice, an easier option, or by any means. In fact, I think that's a much harder choice.
I think it is a harder choice
Yeah.
because um, you're not doing what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we kind of like that.
Yeah, yeah. Make your own path.
It likes
I
that.
love that. You thrive. I think you and your family
We
thrive.
do. We thrive on being different, I think.
Yes, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
And
And you
actually,
also,
it's really fitting we're talking about tennis right now with Wimbledon going on because you realize, like Tej was saying, we can appreciate actually how much work goes on to
Yeah.
become a professional tennis player from such a young age. And that's amazing. I just want to pick up on the mindset stuff that you talked
Yeah.
about. And coaches have also helped Ria with her mindset and Chris.
Yeah.
What kind of things or what has really helped Ria develop that mindset? fit for a young tennis player?
Um, I think we've always, um, well, we've tried to make her grow up to be tough. Chris has always been that way. So Chris was, I mean, I say it's Chris really. He was stay-at-home dad. So when Rhea was born, that's when we literally took over the practice. Um, and so it was hard. He was at home with Rhea literally when she was born. And I think his way of doing things is very different to the normal way. Um, Made her do things outdoors a lot, made her really helped her with her mind. What is this going to do for you? Why are you going to do this? And he is not the stereotypical type of dad. I like to think that I'm not either. And we've got one child, so we can really focus on that. Lots of
Mm.
stories from what he had to do, what he did in his life. His life has also been, I mean, mine's nothing compared to him. His life is so different, everything that he's done. So I think all those stories and also getting into tennis, her coaches. So she's very fortunate, very lucky to have a coach called Joe Jury. I don't know if you remember her. She used to be, probably not. She was playing when I was growing up. World number five, Britain's number one. She won two Grand
Wow.
Slams with Jeremy Bates. So very fortunate to have her as her coach. And Alan, who was Joe's coach. Sadly, Alan passed away a year ago. So Ria was very close to him. He was like a granddad to her. But he has sent 34 players to Wimbledon now. So that was his track record. Everything that he spoke about, um, stories, mindset, how to slowly nurture her has really helped. And it's all about slow nurturing. It's not about being 100 miles an hour and quickly we've got to get here and we've got to do this and phones going off and, the normal way of life. It's never been that way. And we've always tried to make it fun, not making tennis our life. Let her be a child as well. So she loves skiing, snowboarding. So we've always made it a point to take her. Always given her breaks. People are, oh, why are you having a break? Well, she needs a break. 2 weeks off isn't going to be detrimental to her playing tennis. So I think it's a lot of things that have gone into it. Just looking at what we've done. I think that we're different. I think she loves the fact that we're different. She loves being different. She's quite happy in her own skin. She's an only child. Um, and she doesn't need a lot of people around her. She doesn't need to have lots of friends. She's quite happy where she's at. So I think it's over time it's developed this mindset. And
Mm.
I think a lot, my parents, my mum always says, oh, it's Chris is doing everything Chris has been through. It's all Chris.
But also just it's so wonderful to hear, a teenager so self-assured,
Mm.
through,
Yeah, we're very lucky.
which
Yeah.
which is I think right now in, height of, I mean, it's a lot, it's very common and it's very spoken about, all this mental health
Yeah.
related things,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
especially also when you're pursuing something like a professionally to a high level like tennis. Because I listened to a podcast between Trevor Noah and Nick Kyrgios.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
which was really interesting because Nick actually, he's got this persona that everyone's familiar with, but he actually opened up about the sort of behind the scenes
Yeah.
stuff and how he's just a normal person wanting to live a normal life, but thrust into the limelight because he happened to be good at tennis, and
Yeah.
it was, and how you juggle all of that and the toll that it takes, and it
Yeah.
was really insightful, really, and it just allowed me to feel so much empathy, as well for these people who are just trying to live their life, but in sometimes as a sports person you don't, you like the sport and you're good at it and you want to play more of it, but then it comes with this whole
It
baggage that you
does.
have to deal
Mm.
with, that you may be equipped to deal with it, you may not be, and often.
I mean, there's so many different journeys.
Mm,
Everyone has a journey with it. So many different stories about players. Agassi, when he was playing, he hated tennis. His dad was horrible to him. But he came out of it, and it's a journey you develop. And it's lonely. Tennis is a lonely sport as well, but you really need a good team around you, I think, the
Yeah.
support network. And I feel some of the players don't have that. So lose
Yeah,
it.
it really is. It can be really
Because I
challenging.
was watching tennis today, and I was watching the ladies' match, and
Yeah,
you're literally by yourself on court. It's
yeah,
not
yeah,
football where you've got another defender if you're a defender, and you can have a quick spud or just feel like physically
yeah,
supported. You're by yourself, and you
yeah.
see them looking to the box, looking to their people, looking to their tribe, and it's just commendable. I actually think tennis is a really tough sport.
Uh, yeah, and not just because we're in the tennis sport, but it is one of the toughest sports. And her coach always says 0.00000% make it. There's thousands and millions of people trying to become a tennis player, but it takes a lot. And I would say it's about 70% mental, 30% tennis skill.
How insane. That's really,
Yeah,
yeah, I
Wow.
guess
it
it's
really
very
is. Yeah,
believable actually. But
Yeah.
also just embracing that kind of journey with so much uncertainty, right? Like you're putting
yeah,
everything into it, your resources, your time, effort, energy, but not really knowing how it's gonna turn out or work out and being okay with that as well. I think that's huge as well. Um,
yes. And
so
the pressure, you got to be able to deal with the pressure.
yeah.
And even now, when Ria plays, she'll play a match. If she wins, great. Even if she wins, loses, whatever, it's more about how mentally it was, not, oh, your forehand wasn't great or your serve was terrible. It's mentally what's going on.
Hmm.
So that is, yeah,
I
very
really like that idea of slow nurturing actually, because I feel like as a dentist, I was highly academic and for sort of through sort of got through uni really well and stuff and then had this kind of ambition to specialize and that was the way I was wired and geared
yeah,
and then that didn't I didn't go down that route and I ended up in practice which was never part of the plan but then I just sort of kept ticking along and and actually being in one place, I really feel like it's been able to nurture me very organically. And it's only in the last maybe 2 to 3 years where I've been more kind of, okay, now I think I feel ready to upskill and going and investing and going on courses and things like that, having had a foundation and a bit of an experience. Whereas I would say maybe in my cohort, quite openly, I probably feel like I might be kind of towards the end of the what do I call it? Like probably on the slower side to kind of make those decisions. Whereas I know a lot of people in my cohort would have been out of uni, and if they decided to stay
Course,
in
course, course,
practice,
course.
they would
yeah,
be on the Invisalign course, they'd be doing aligning, they'd be on restorative courses, they'd be doing all
yeah,
these really cool things. And partially it was because I had no ambition to stay in practice. I was like, I'm not spending thousands of pounds on these courses. But then equally, actually, for it to happen when it did, it somehow it seems to be a kind of that slow nurturing that you
Mm.
said. And I think certain personalities are
Great.
suited for that.
I totally agree. Like you sometimes, so a good friend of mine, I think you may know her, Hina. Her and I, we always talk about it. Babin's my colleague's wife, and we talk about it a lot. Before we used to think, oh gosh, we really should do that course, and that person's doing this, and I feel like, oh, maybe I should do that, but I'm quite happy doing what I'm doing, and I think you should be doing it, but I think if you do it, it's you've got to do it because you want to do it and you'll know that. And like you said, you slowly realize that, actually, I'm quite happy doing this. When I qualified, I was like, yeah, I really want to be max fax. I love it. I love oral medicine. I love this and love that. And then I thought about it. I'm like, God, you got to do a house job and then you go do medicine. And then the thought of it looks nice. It's like, wow, that will be really good. But really, do you deep down want to do it?
Yeah.
So,
Exactly. And I think that's the conversation we have to have with ourselves, which sometimes we aren't having because of social pressures.
yeah,
Um, or feeling like, a lot of the younger generations, literally course, 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 course,
yeah,
course.
it
A
is.
CV is
Yeah.
literally littered with courses. And I'm sure that gives them skills and, they can do
Yeah.
amazing things. But yeah, there are a lot of people that take time with their decisions, and that's okay. I don't think everyone needs to be at 100 miles an hour. And I think it's really a nice phrase to use, especially when raising your children, which is really,
Oh,
really
can I ask a question about
nice.
actually? So, did you was it an active decision to have one child in that, or how did you coming having a sibling growing up, and
Yeah.
then just when you're starting your own family and maybe and deciding, okay, we're going to have one child. Like, what was that kind of? thought process behind that? I'm
Uh,
really curious.
Bit
If you don't
complicated. We had IVF, so we had Ria, and then we were like, do you know what? I don't want to do this again. Decision. Chris and I are very much, um, I don't know. That's it. This is what we're doing.
mind.
In fact,
You make decisions. I
um,
think you know what, Tina, you strike me as the person who will make a decision and just stick with it. I don't think you like did that.
yeah, yeah, I think so. I think
Yeah.
if we know it's the right decision, we're going to do it. We'll stick with it. So, that's what it was. That's it. And if it wasn't going to work, we had already decided we're good with this. We're fine. We'll go travel the world, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but that's why that was that. And I mean, I don't know any different, but I'm very happy that, you know, we've got Rhea, we can help her. I don't know if it would be possible with another child, what
Hmm.
we do with her.
Mm.
Do you know? People do
Yeah.
it, and I'm sure there's ways and means we would have figured it out if it was the same situation. But I think that's what has also allowed us to be slightly different. Uh,
Mm. You
and
can literally pour all your energy and give your
yeah,
absolute everything to Ria, which is also beautiful.
yes, yes, and you know, we're grateful we've got one child. We're very grateful for. She's very lucky. She's very
But
nice.
as also as parents, I think the journey that she's been on, it's also allowed you guys to go on a journey as well that maybe,
Oh yeah, it's
you
very
know,
exciting. I
which
love
is
it.
yeah,
Absolutely
which is
love it.
so unique
So
as a
it's
parent.
if I'm at work and Chris is taking her to a tournament, you know, I get excited when he messages me things like, right, Ria's going on now, and Ria's won the first set, and I'm thinking, oh gosh, what's going to happen next? You know, and it's like, you know, even that's exciting. Or if I can take her, it's like, oh, you know, I can get to take her and watch a match today, so it's fun. Or, you know, we get to see all different places, different people.
Mm.
We are, funny enough, we may come across like, you know, we confident this out there, but we do keep ourselves to ourselves a lot as well. We're not, you know, very social.
I mean, how do you have time to be social?
Yeah, I was just gonna think, how do you have
No, we
energy to
actually
be
don't
social?
have a social calendar at all. We don't. We have lots of people that are booked up. Like my sister, for example, she doesn't have children. She's booked up months in advance every weekend. And we've got friends who are like, no, I've got this weekend. I'm doing this weekend. And we're like, and we're very opposite. We're like, I'm so sorry, I don't know. Ours is last minute, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I find it really difficult when I get invited to stuff like months down the line. I'm just like,
I don't know
I
what I'm
mean,
going
I
to be
love the
doing.
idea of it, but I just don't know if I can commit to it. And I feel like there's this pressure to kind of
Yeah,
yes or no. And I'm like, well, can I let you know nearer the
yeah.
time?
I know.
I'm a little
I
bit more
don't think we
fluid with
should
my
feel that
calendar.
pressure. And I think I've learned that. I used to feel, I'm like, oh God, it looks
Mm.
bad if we don't go. Maybe we should make an effort. Chris and Ria would be like, no, doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
it doesn't.
You
And
know?
again, it's a mindset thing, right? It's about training your mind that actually it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It absolutely doesn't. Like no one will care a week down the line. And the most
Exactly. That's what it is. And I think it's
yeah.
just uh social, what goes on socially, the way we've been brought up, maybe, and just the way of the world, really, what's happening, social media, you know, it
So,
just
So,
how
what's your view
is
on
it?
social media with Ria, by the way?
uh she doesn't like it. Um she's got Instagram because she has to for sponsors and stuff like that. She's never had TikTok, not Snapchat. She's wired so differently. And I feel that a lot of it has come from her.
Hmm.
We would obviously push it to be that way, but it's come from her. We're not making her not have it. So she's very sensible. We're very, very lucky that way. But I do think sport has helped her become that way too.
Mm,
Yeah.
Being in
I think
sport,
the, do you know, I
discipline
think the
is the next thing.
responsibility that comes with committing to a sport probably
Yeah.
has made her grow up quicker.
Yeah, yeah. She's definitely mature.
For
Uh,
her age. Yeah.
definitely.
She sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Maybe we should get
yeah,
her on the
we
podcast
should have done a
schedule.
double act, Tina, and got Ria on
Yeah.
as well. I was going to ask you for those listeners, maybe if they're parents, and you know their children want to do some things unconventional, and for them it's just so it's so alien to them, and it's
Mm.
really and it's so unsettling that they want to take an unconventional path. What is your advice to these people who might be like, you know, their kid wants to do, I don't know, whether it's a career decision or otherwise, or want to take an unconventional path, whether it could be like, oh, their partner's not from the same, background or
Yeah.
whatever it is, and they want to be supportive parents, but they find it so unsettling. Like, what advice would you have for these people?
Well, it's a tough one that because I was a rebel. I really fought for wanting to be with Chris for a long time. I made it happen and it worked. So you don't always know it's going to work, but I think my parents could see that that was making me happy. I think happiness is the biggest thing. I feel too many children, adults even, are pushed into doing
Mm.
things that they don't want to do because it is the normal thing to do. It's the
Correct.
easier thing to do. Don't come off the track, you've got to keep on that. But if you can see that your child has got a passion for something, I think you should allow them to pursue it. Education now is not like it used to be. You can come back to it. There's online education. There's so much you can do. You don't even need an education these days to make decent money. There's so many different jobs out there that are available that I don't even understand what they are. We never had that title when we were growing up. I wouldn't even know what that was. So it's a hard decision, but I think as a family, you've got to be close. You've got to be all on it, and understand it. Just accepting that if it doesn't work, it's okay. You can you can change it. You can make it work somehow.
Mm.
Do your research on it. I researched a lot on the homeschooling.
Hmm.
We researched a lot on the tennis, the academies, and you've got to be comfortable with it. And I think happiness is the biggest thing.
Mm.
You can't always go into something and think, yeah, that's what I want. It's going to make me happy. It can go wrong,
Mm.
So I think you've just got to be accepting to it,
No,
Hmm.
really.
that's lovely.
And
Thank you for that. And
yeah.
I know we're kind of coming towards the end of it, but before we finish, I wanted to speak a little briefly about your property venture.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't completely didn't
No,
get
it's fine. Oh, it's
too
not.
much.
It's nothing. We're just very new at it. We used to do a lot of. Chris loves it. Like I said, he's done a lot in his life. He's doing up homes, buying them, selling them. So love doing that. We've done our house now, and we've got it on the market. But we are got a little project at the moment. Buying a place up in Scotland with someone, like a joint venture. But it's just something that we've always wanted to do. Ria is going to be part of it as well. So it's something that she can do on the side, always have something to fall back on.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, it's exciting. It's so much things that we've learned. We've done a whole course on it. So many different avenues you can go into property, and I think it's something that we can do on our own. We can do it
Mhm.
ourselves, go down the path, whether I'd love to have an Airbnb one day. So that's what I'm working on, and flipping houses. Chris loves building work. He loves working with the builders. He loves designing stuff like that. So, and he's good at it. So that's where we're at with it. So, and I think it's the way, future maybe, just stability maybe. Ria can do that as well as doing her tennis career. So she's
Yeah.
always got something to fall back
That's
on.
it. It's diversifying, isn't it? And I
Mm.
think
Again,
you're
that
right.
makes
That is the
people think we're
future.
crazy. Oh God, you're going to do another project. You've just done this one. Why do you want to move house? It's so stressful. I don't know. We enjoy it.
There you go. That's all you
So,
need, right? Like that's
yeah,
all the validation you need. It's the
yeah,
right decision for you guys. You
yeah,
guys enjoy it. For some people, it can be like the worst thing
yeah.
ever,
Very
like the thought of
stressful.
it.
Yeah,
But everyone's unique
yeah.
and different. Everyone's values are different. So good for you guys. And maybe we'll have to do a part two to explore that a little bit
See where
further. But as we draw to a close, and it's been a lovely conversation. Thank you so much, Tina.
No, thanks for having me. It's
If there
been
was one
really fun.
message, sorry.
It's been really fun. Yeah.
Great.
Good.
If there is one message that you would like to share with our listeners as a parting sort of pearl, what would that be?
Um, it's good to be different. Um, I would say always follow your gut instinct with what you really feel you want to do in life, whether it's the decisions you're making. Um, Listen to your children, maybe be nurturing. For us, it's don't always follow what everyone else is doing. Make sure it's right for you. Um, Yeah, I think being
Nice.
different.
I love that.
Well,
I love that.
thank
Thank you
you
so
so much.
much. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoy this episode, don't forget to hit follow on Spotify or Apple Podcasts and to hit subscribe on YouTube so that you never miss a new one. It really helps if you rate and review the show, and if you found this episode valuable, share it with a friend, family member, or colleague. We appreciate your support and we'll catch you next time. Bye bye.